Dude, did you hear too? For movie news, the extended editions of Lord of the Rings are coming to the Megaplex, baby.
Wow.
For $5 real deal, starting in August, and I'm going with or without you. It's gonna be freaking awesome. Haven't seen them in theaters since they came out in theaters.
I've never watched them in theaters.
Dude,
I think it's so funny that we have to keep rerunning movies from 2001 to have theaters have any success.
it is sad.
Gosh,
It is sad. Although I did go see F1 and I had a blast watching that movie.
it's a good one.
Yeah.
I've seen good things about it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to hype it up and say it's an amazing movie. I'm just saying that, like, to go to the IMAX and see a movie with racing and the sound and the music they had in it, it was just a great theater experience. Not saying, like, you have to see this movie, but I think you would like it. I recommend. So that's my recommend. Go see F1 IMAX if you haven't. Dan, any movie news or recommends from you?
So I talked a little bit about Elio last week, and there's been a bunch of reporting about why Elio did so poorly.
Oh, yeah?
And the first cut that they made, Elio was gay.
Really?
An 11-year-old boy. Yeah. And they had like pictures of his lover in his room. They talked about how he was queer and stuff. And they were putting a bunch of stuff into the movie. So they presented it to the Pixar people, the higher ups, and they're like, no.
Yeah, it's obviously going to work. Look what we've been trying, and we've lost so
We're
much
not
money.
doing that. So they tampened it down quite a bit, and they didn't do any marketing for it because they still were like, let's do this better. But what they had was a gay movie, and they took out all the gay parts, and then they had a movie that was shorter and worse.
Yeah.
Well, slightly less, less woke, less gay.
But doesn't work when you take out parts of the movie.
Yeah. And so they showed it to audiences, and the audiences were like, it was fine, but I would not go see it. No one said they would wanted to see it. And then they did like very little marketing for it.
Yeah.
And so I think Pixar literally was just like, we're just going to take the L. Like, this is so bad that we're not even going to try to promote it.
Yeah.
Are we at the precipice of an amazing movie renaissance from Pixar and Disney?
Probably not.
No. But the fact that it wasn't released because it was too gay and they let it wither on the vine because it had gay-esque stuff afterwards is a great sign.
Welcome back to Real Legends Podcast. I'm your host, Bo.
I'm Dan.
In tonight's movie, Interstellar. My brain is mush. There's a lot of emotional things in this movie, but then there's just the mind-bending, just all of it. And it's also so cool, and then the music is just so good, but also just messing with time and space in my brain. I don't even know what to say, dude.
I think this movie's so good.
It was a very good experience. I actually think I've only seen this movie one other time.
Really?
Yeah. And I did not see it in theater, I don't think, which I really regret. So
This
if it ever goes to theater, I really want to go.
So I lived in South America for 2 years and did not watch a single movie while I was there. And when I got back, this was the first movie I watched. Yes. Riley insisted I watch this movie. And I did not understand a thing about it, and I did not like it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because I was just lost the whole time. So I get exactly what you're saying.
Well, yeah, it's not that I'm lost. I think it's probably a different experience than what you're describing. I just, it's just so much to unpack and think about and say, like, that I just don't even know where to start.
Yeah, it's so good, though. Dude, Christopher Nolan just consistently knocks it out of the park with amazing, amazing movies. Not to mention that this movie's 3 hours long, and I did not feel
a second of it.
No, nothing. I was just locked in. There was like 1 second when my leg got itchy, and I like itched it, and I looked around for a second, and then I was locked right back in.
All I had to do was just keep breathing, man.
Yeah.
Keep breathing.
So good.
It's kind of crazy, too, seeing it a second time. We'll get into spoilers later, but yeah, like, because this time now I'm anticipating things. It's like, holy crap.
That's true. Yeah, the first time I watched it, I did not understand a thing. And the second time I watched it, that's when everything was, like, real. But I still, like, had questions. And I think this time, now that I've watched it, I get pretty much all of it. So I don't feel overwhelmed by it now.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into that. Okay, well, before we get to spoilers, I just want to hit on a few things, general things. what a beautiful looking movie. Man, so good.
Not to mention the music along with the scenes.
Yeah, with the visuals, the music is just top notch.
So good.
Who does the music for this?
Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
He knocked
Hans
it out of
Zimmer.
the park again,
Yeah, Hans Zimmer, great job, my man.
as always.
I'm just blown away. Like,
I've never seen you like this.
yeah, I'm just blown away because like I was so locked into it, and yeah, I'm just thinking about ice clouds and freaking
Yeah.
even the stuff in the barn farmhouse looks great,
Mhm.
and the emotion of we'll get into spoilers, but just his relationship with his kids and
Yeah.
what he ends up choosing to do, and
Uh-huh.
oh my gosh,
Dude, I
was
turned
just
up when we turned it off. I like looked around your house and I was like, "Oh, I'm like on Earth."
is this real?
You know, like I feel like I should be in space,
Right?
be doing something amazing because that
Especially at the end, I'm like, I
Yes.
gotta freaking get out there, dude. I gotta go.
Yeah.
I gotta jump and go.
that movie just makes you feel so like adventurous.
Yeah.
Like there's so much to accomplish.
That's one thing I like a lot about his character is his like we are pioneers, we are adventurers, we are
Mhm.
explorers. We gotta get out and do something.
I don't think this movie does anything wrong. It does everything right, and it does most things extremely well. Like you mentioned, Matthew McConaughey's character, outstanding. The plot of the story, outstanding. The twists and turns, incredible. The music,
Yeah.
mind-blowing. The scenery, so cool. The wormhole, the traveling, the worlds that go like it
Premise
has
of the world coming to an end.
yeah, exactly. The premise, his kids, his attitude, the whole thing is just like, oh, you did so well. Oh my gosh. Christopher Nolan, you just knocked it out of the park.
Dude, amen to that, brother. Amen. I just can't even like I wish I almost could have just took notes on everything because I'm just blown away at how he's able to tie everything in together. I'm just thinking about like making a movie like this, and the whole time I was just like, I could never make a movie like
No.
this. And it's sad to say that, but I think there's only so many people in the world that could do something like this.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, half of that, yeah, sure, is the writing, like getting a script that does all of this. But to be pulled off as a director with hundreds of other people that are collaborating to make this happen is just mind-numbing to me as someone who's made films,
Mm-hmm.
very small films. So yeah,
Not to mention like all of the CGI in this movie doesn't look bad.
no,
All of it looks incredible. There wasn't a single moment that I thought that looks weird. Like all of it looks like
yeah, I have
you
zero
are
complaints.
you are having this experience in real life.
I have no idea where the CGI begins and the reality ends in this movie.
Yeah.
So it never
Actually,
took me out of the
really
movie
good point.
once.
Yeah, you look at the spaceship and you're like, is that real? That's CGI'd? You don't know.
Mm-hmm. Man, incredible. I think we're gonna get into spoilers now.
Let's do it.
We've been announcing movies ahead of time so that you could sit down and watch them with your friends, family, yourself, whoever, and then come talk about them with us on the podcast. We're looking for messages on our Instagram or preferably on Spotify or YouTube where we can respond and look at them and yeah, and then read them on the show. So if you watch Interstellar, make sure, or any of our films in the future, make sure you DM us, or not DM us, comment. Comments are best. So we can get more interaction there. We'll accept some DMs as well. All right, Dan, we're going to jump into spoilers. Man,
I think this
yeah.
movie does a great job. We were talking about this with Star Wars a couple weeks ago, where Star Wars creates a really cool world for you, not by telling you, this is Tatooine, its inhabitants do X, Y, and Z. These are
Yeah.
the creatures that are on it. Like, in the first 45 minutes, we learn all about Earth's predicament.
Right.
But it does it in such a interesting way, like with the documentary intro, and then you see how people are interacting with people, and then that scene with him and the principal talking about how his son's just going to be a good farmer or whatever.
Yeah, and the Apollo landing and space missions were all fake.
Yeah.
Just to get the Soviets to bankrupt themselves in a space race.
So you see, like, it does a really good job of creating this extremely fascinating world that's running out of food. And the only thing they can have is corn and all the issues that come along with that, with like the plates and stuff that you have to have upside down.
Yeah, the whole world's kind of a dust bowl.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting world.
Yeah, and it's crazy because it's set in our world, and so it's like, dang, is this like actually possible that this could happen?
Mhm.
Is this it just feels really grounded that way. Yeah, along with just like setting that world, finding out like, hey, we actually are trying to figure out a way to save humanity with NASA. NASA still exists, and you were a pilot, but then the world went to crap. So you never got a chance to really be an astronaut, explorer, a pilot. You just had to go try to eke out a life as a farmer.
Mm-hmm.
So really setting the stage there. And even though that first act is, this was a long movie, it's kind of long. It doesn't feel long.
No.
It doesn't feel like it takes a long time to get to him going to space.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to jump too far ahead because I want to hit some other stuff too. But yeah, just did a really good job at building the world out. But I didn't think any of it was wasted time.
I agree. So there's the aspect of the world itself in broader terms. There's very little food. Population of Earth has basically destroyed itself. Then it goes down to like the interpersonal relationship that he has with Murph.
Yeah.
And his son. And you can tell him and his son are close, but they're not that close.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a distant relationship, but he loves...
He's a daughter's dad.
He loves Murph so much.
Mm-hmm.
Man, and like the scene where he leaves her, I actually teared up.
Yeah.
I was
tough,
like,
dude.
gosh, it is so rough to watch. So I think it's 45.
Especially they don't get a good goodbye.
I know.
It's so tough.
Yeah. 45 minutes, 50 minutes is like the kind of the intro before they go to space. Yeah. If this movie was made today, that right there would be its own movie. They would have elongated that to 2.5 hours and they would have said, here's Interstellar episode 1 because there's so much there. But they did it so well in 45 minutes. I cared so much about Murph.
Yeah.
By the time he leaves.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he doesn't ever get to see her until at the very end is so sad. And you feel it the whole time.
So sad. Oh my gosh.
So I think that, again, like all that comes from setting up.
And I kind of forgot that he like lives.
I did
like,
too.
Pretty much everything the last like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I completely forgot.
Same.
Until like he was there and then I was like, oh yeah, he's going to go freaking jump on that ship and go freaking explore, dude. Let's go.
I want them to make
find the girl.
I want them to make a second one, man.
Dude.
It would freaking ruin it. Make Matthew McConaughey in a wheelchair the whole movie. The first 45 minutes being tight and great and making you care about not only Earth and the mission, but also the interpersonal relationship between Murph and what's the main character's name?
Coop.
Cooper.
Yeah, Coop.
Like you love them so much. And I think that that's something that movies can get really wrong is like there's characters that you're supposed to care about.
But you don't care about
But you don't. And this one's like, gosh, man, I just want him to go give Murph a hug. That's all I care about.
And that's why I think it's so necessary to have this movie give some time to that relationship like you talked about, because then that's the payoff of the whole movie is love, right?
Yeah.
And so if you don't set that up and really get us invested in it, then this movie doesn't work like it does now. Yeah, dude, because like you've got him. There was moments in the movie where I was like, he's such a freaking good dad.
Oh yeah.
Like, pulling the blanket over when she's falling asleep in the truck. But not to mention, she snuck on the truck just like her dad probably would have done, and was like, I'm going with you even though you said I couldn't.
Also I love watching how he defends his kids when they're in the principal teacher scene.
Yeah.
The principal's like, well, he's going to be a great farmer. And he's like, he's more than that. He's amazing. You're not going to give him a shot. Like he fights for his kids.
Yeah.
And then the daughter, she's, doing this and that. And she got into a fist fight, but he doesn't care because he's like, these freaking propagandists are saying we didn't land on the moon. No way, not in my country.
She's still freaking America, baby.
Yeah, and he's so like masculine and patriotic and defends his children to like the dying death, and he just doesn't even care what they think. It's just he's such a
good
goat.
to see. Let's just throw his hat in the ring as one of the great dads of cinema.
I totally agree.
I mean, we can think about that more as the show goes on, but I'm nominating him. Coop is one of the great dads of cinema.
When the drone flies over And so like the tire pops, they start arguing about it. He's like, relax, nobody's fault. Take it easy. He lets his son try to fix it. He doesn't step in and say, oh, I'll
This
show
is
you
how
how to
you
do
do
it.
it. Or get out of the way.
And he's like, but Dad, what about this? And he's like, get the patch kit, figure it out. You know?
Yeah.
Very
I
masculine.
won't
Like,
be here
yeah,
always.
like figure this out, son. You're like, you're gonna be the man of the house. And then they see the thing fly by and he says, forget it. And then he jumps in the car and he's like, let's go have an adventure. And he drives through the cornfields, which are not his, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, who knows right? And who knows who they could have ran into.
Yeah, but
someone walking through.
And then he lets his son take over too.
Yeah.
So like he like
has Murph point
yeah,
the thing at the
he allows his children to interact and be a part of his life. And then when he finally gets there, he takes over it and then he lets Murph fly it a little bit.
Yeah.
And then they go and check it out. And then he's late to the parent-teacher conferences because he was spending time with his kids.
Right. That's awesome.
Which is freaking goated.
And that's building him out, right?
Yeah.
That's really getting us to understand how much he loves like aviation
Mm-hmm.
and like how that freedom of like going out and flying or exploring is a really big part of his character
Mm-hmm.
and his person.
Yep.
We haven't even gotten to like the space travel. But this is all really
That's what I'm saying. Like, if this movie was made today, they could make a full movie out of the first 45 minutes because there's so much there with character. I'm glad they didn't, though.
I'm really glad this is.
I don't want that to happen
because I think they pull everything off they need to in this one movie and leave you wanting more.
True. The ghost scene with the books getting like knocked out, and the message with the sand on the floor.
Yeah, the binary.
That to me, the first time I watched it was like, what is even happening? I was so confused by that.
Right. The first time I feel like I remember, and I got the vibes of it this time, that's why I feel like I remember this, is you kind of almost didn't know if this was going to be kind of a supernatural or kind of even spooky movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's that stuff with like ghost quotes.
Yeah.
And then sand, and then they go to that like fenced off area, and all of a sudden lights are shining on them and it's like, shoot, is this area 51? What's going on? And then the girls screaming after they say, don't be afraid. And it's like,
don't worry.
So yeah, it's just like a little trippy that way at first. You just don't know what's going on until you get farther in the movie.
Yeah, I think it's a cool setup too with the books and the sand with the coordinates, because this is where like the mind is kind of melted, is that it's happening in the present because it's happening in the future and he's speaking to the past.
Right.
But how did he get that information in the first place to go there if he hadn't already gone there in the future?
Yeah.
It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
That is so crazy.
It's almost like the only way it would work is if like, everything exists all at once. Your past, your present, and your future all exist at the same time.
Yeah.
Is the only way I can make sense of it in my brain.
I want to talk more about the beings, but I want to wait till we get through everything because that's like at the very end.
Okay. All right. So Coop gets recruited to go save humanity. Other people have gone out to remote planets that are possibly habitable, and the ones that are have sent messages back to Earth.
Yeah. So
they're gonna go find these planets with the hopes of bringing Earth to them. Backup plan. They have eggs and sperm frozen on the space station.
Yep.
Wild.
I love that scene so much when they're explaining like the different planets and stuff, and 12 people went out and they have all 12 pictures, so it's easy to see exactly what's being told. This movie does it perfectly with storytelling, where everything that's being explained is also visual, and you can see exactly what's trying to be portrayed. This is NASA, so we're going to show you all this cool space stuff. Here's the 12 people, here are all their pictures.
Right, but they purposely only show like Matt Damon's picture on a very wide shot where it's very far away, and so you can't really make out who's on the wall.
Right.
It's kind of behind the doctor's arm. So it's kind of like they're saving that reveal, because it's like, oh yeah, these guys all went out. You're gonna go find 3 of them. We don't really know who's important and is not important because we haven't met them. Besides, this guy's supposed to be the best of us. And that's kind of
it's fascinating too in that scene because he doesn't actually verbally ever say, I'll do it. This one guy is talking to him. The professor is like, you should do this. Think about, we need someone like you to go out and do this. Humanity's toast and you want to do this. And the next scene after that is him saying goodbye to Murph. There's never like a okay, I'll do it, or well, let's think about this. He's just like, okay, like he understands his duty, and he doesn't hesitate at all and just takes care of business.
I think part of that is he is like trapped. Like as much as Luke Skywalker is trapped on his farm, this guy is trapped and he doesn't want to be there.
Yep.
Like he loves being a dad and he's doing a good job. Like
he's even a good farmer.
Yeah. And so when this thing almost lands in his lap, it's like, yes,
finally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like of course, like this has to be destiny because I wasn't made to be a farmer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a pilot. I'm an explorer.
Yep.
So it's kind of interesting that way where it's like you couldn't put a bigger temptation in front of him than that.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like I hesitate to say like, even if the world and Earth wasn't at stake, if he had the opportunity, like that's what he really wants deep down is to explore.
Be a pioneer.
Yeah, be a pioneer, be an explorer.
He's constantly reminiscing about like the good old days when we explored things.
Yeah, he mentions like there was no good baseball players when he was younger because we were too busy fighting over food. But he doesn't say that in like a way of like, I had it so bad way. To me, it comes off as like, it sucks because I didn't get to do what I was born to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, he says his father-in-law says you're born 40 years too early or 40 years too late.
Yeah.
That's true. And that's like his whole... I was actually thinking about how many similarities he has with Luke Skywalker.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I didn't think about it till now.
He's trapped on this dust planet.
Yeah.
And he just wants to go out and explore.
Yeah. Yeah, Luke really wants to go be the hero.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, it's basically
a little different. Yeah, he wants to explore. It's not that he wants to be the star like Luke does, but yeah, it's very similar that way.
Yeah. It's basically the hero's journey, right? And that's why it's such a timeless, great story, is that you have a man who wants to achieve things, but has other obligations that he has to take care of first. But then life happens, and he's given this massive opportunity to go and be bigger than he is, and he takes it. And that's the hero's adventure.
Just so hard to see him leave his kids. And that's what's crazy. I think like...
Well, he thinks it's only going to be a couple years. That's what's pitched to him. And he was never actually supposed to come back. So like everything he was being told was a lie. It was like, yeah, it's going to be 2 years, but then you're going to get there and then you'll be able to come back and, save your kids. And he's like, awesome, I'll do it.
Yeah, there's the time is like ambiguous, right? Because he doesn't know. He tells his daughter like, you might, who knows, you could be my age when I see you next.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not sure like how long it's going to take, but he knows he's risking A, he might not survive and live to begin with, and B, like even if he does survive, the time difference, who knows, if he'll come back at a time where everyone's still alive.
But right after the fight with Dr. Mann, not the fight, but right after they realized that there was no objective to bring people back and that they were supposed to just stay on that planet, he plans on leaving. He's like, I did my duty, I'm going home. I'm going to see my kids.
So what are you saying? I guess I'm confused.
I'm saying that like, even though his motivation is to go and save the world and to like be the hero, he still has his focus on his children. Like he's doing it for his kids.
Yeah, I would say yeah. So leading back to like when he leaves and it's sad and if that's like a good choice or not, even though he like wants to be an explorer, I would say that is part of the motivation of leaving is giving his kids a future, right? Like he's not just leaving. Like I said, if the world, well, let's put it this way: if the world wasn't ending, would he still go and be like, "Yeah, kids, I'm leaving. I may or may not be back." I think it'd be a temptation, but I don't think he leaves. I think the additional part where the world's ending, there's no future. I think that's like the pushing point for him to actually leave.
Yeah,
from my perspective,
I think you're right.
And so, yeah, I don't think he wants to be the hero. I think he just he loves to explore, and he sees this as a way I can do what I was born to do and help my kids.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what I take from it.
I think you're right.
They get to the first planet they go to.
Well, going through the wormhole is also pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
When they see the big sphere.
That's how they get to the other galaxy.
I like how they do the paper thing, too, where before they do, Romley draws the picture of the two X's on the piece of paper.
Yeah.
And then folds it together, pokes the hole through it, shows it up to Cooper, and like it looks like a circle. And so he explains like this, it's like a sphere. And then as you're getting up to it, you're just like, what? This thing is so crazy. And then you go through it and it's even more crazy, and then you ripped out on the other side and you're in another galaxy. It's so cool.
I definitely like the way it was done, but I mean I know there's a lot of intergalactic travel in other movies, but this definitely
no one does it with the cool sphere wormhole.
I think you're right. I liked it a lot. It looked pretty freaking sick.
Looks so cool. And the whole time you're wondering, like, who are these beings that placed it there? Someone put
it just appeared 40 years ago.
Someone put this thing here for us. We better use it. And so, like, just the adventure of
we'll have to talk about
going through a wormhole is so crazy.
We'll have to talk about that because I don't get. I think that's one question I still have is who put the, like, if it was put there, quote unquote, then who did that?
Mm-hmm.
Because by the end of the movie, I think I understand the stuff with him and his daughter and what he talks about us. There's no beings, there's just us. So is it just humans sometime in the future? Like, hey, they're going to need that wormhole. Let's go throw it in there.
Yeah.
Once human beings got advanced enough to do it, I don't know.
We'll get to that later. So right after they go through the wormhole, they see the 3 planets. And they have to make a decision on which one they're going to visit first.
Oh yeah, that's an interesting scene.
That's a great scene.
Because it's like, here's the here's the problem.
And there's 3 options, and all 3 look okay. And they're talking about this one, they're talking about that one, they're talking about this one.
Well, one looks best because it won't be close to the black hole.
That's only to Matthew McConaughey. The rest are actually, they don't want to go where he's going. They kind of suggest other things, and then he says no, flips the thing over and draws the picture, and he's like, this is what we're doing. There was no vote. There was no conversation among them. They're just like, he says, this is where we're going. And they're like, okay.
Well, yeah, they're like, yeah, no, that could work. They like they come to the conclusion that what he's proposing is the best option because obviously he has the motivation of anytime they're going down to a planet near the black hole, right? Because I think I misspoke because I think all of them are affected by the black hole. With time,
Miller's is the one that's least affected by it,
right? And so, but still, anytime they spend down there is going to be like years back on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So he comes up with a better plan than they even were proposing to begin with to like speed things up. Like, hey, we'll go above this one, we'll drop down, we'll be in and out because we can't waste any time because years are going to pass by.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, yeah, that actually is a pretty good plan.
Yeah, it's just, I love how decisive he is and how capable he is as well.
Yeah.
The whole movie is just him being freaking capable.
For real.
Just being able to do like everything. When they get down to the water planet, you're like, this is such a crazy planet. And then they're mentioning how the gravity's heavier, so they can't move as much.
Yeah.
And they're like looking around, and then they can't find the thing, but then they finally do, and then the wave comes.
Dude. It's just
and the music hits. Yeah. Oh, man.
The freaking Jenga robot droid just goes running around on the water.
And he saves the freaking day because she's so focused on the mission that she realizes like she could get killed. And Doyle obviously gets killed.
Gets Doyle killed.
Yeah.
Oh man. Wild stuff. Well, we don't have to go through everything, but anything you want to bring up. I
love the scene when they realize that 23 years have passed. Because Matthew is so, whatever his name is, Cooper is so mad at her for disobeying.
Right.
And getting Doyle killed. And wasting time. He's so mad.
Yeah. He's so concerned that he just lost 23 years with his kids.
And then when they go up and then they speak with Romilly, he's been like, I didn't think you guys were coming back.
Oh, man. That's like sad.
And then he's like, it's been 23 years.
Ugh.
And then you see that the most emotional scene, definitely, well, maybe not definitely, but it's definitely one of the most emotional scenes is when he goes through all of the messages.
Yeah, from his kids.
Oh,
from
man.
his son, really.
You see him grow up, he gets married, he has a kid, and then he says goodbye to him, and it's like, oh, man.
That's tough, dude.
Oh, and he's crying, but he's like such a tough man the whole time, and he's so capable, and you never see him get upset. Well, you never see him like cry, but then in that moment, you see this man just like sobbing over his children, and it's like, oh, you feel it so strongly there.
That'd be so nuts, dude. To be like, you're not aging really just kind of at a normal pace, but it seems like your kids are just going
They're
ahead
down
of
there,
you.
yeah, they're down there for a couple of hours, and he comes back, and his entire life is new.
The theory of relativity is just mind-boggling.
Do you know another movie that does it as well as this one?
Dude, I just remember when I was a kid on the Disney Channel, they had these weird little short things from Genie from Aladdin who would talk about like sciencey things, and he talked about the theory of relativity and how if someone was flying across space and if you looked at them, it seemed like they're moving in slow-mo or something because they're at a different part of space or something. And I was just like, what?
So the answer is no.
No. No.
Because I can't think of another movie that does the time relativity thing better than this one.
Yeah, I don't
Does
know.
it so well with the videos of the kids growing up.
Right. And just the consequences and like how that would play out if you were going through it. It's like, you kidding me? Like you disobeyed orders. We got stuck on this planet for now another hour, and now 23 years has passed when we could have been in and out in like 15 minutes.
Yeah. Kind of shows you this other girl's character too, though, that she's very driven for the mission, but she's also like extremely emotional about the mission. Like she wants to get this thing because it's important or whatever, instead of like, we're gonna die. She's like, but this thing is cool. Like we need this thing. But like, and it also comes back later on where, when she's like upset that Tars is being shot into the black hole.
Yeah.
She's like, lady, he's a robot. It's not a big deal. Like she's really caught up in like, I don't know, the feelings.
She goes and checks on the eggs the first thing when they get on the space station after it's almost blew up. And she's like, that's the first place he goes. Coop's going to get on the ship and check and make sure they have a way out of there. And she's going to check on the eggs and make sure plan B can still happen.
Trying to think about, I feel like there's another moment where she kind of shows like a lot less of an objective side and more of like a concern for like the little things, which I don't think is a bad thing. But that scene though on the water world shows her personality a lot, where it's like she's a lot less worried about, I guess, getting the mission, just surviving. She's just kind of like, well, this is important, and so I want to do it like right now.
Yeah, I feel like she wants to make sure all plans can happen, A or B, for humanity. And she's not so much worried about like, she's not as focused like McConaughey or Coop about getting on and off.
Yeah.
You know, like she respects it and she gets it, but like she's like, this is just as important as getting this data to know if this planet's habitable than losing a couple of years on this planet. Another scene where they have to decide which planet to go to next is very interesting because she's like,
I think this is the other one I was thinking of.
Yeah, I feel like we should go to, whose is it? The
Edmund.
And this is where it's hard when you've already seen the movie. You're like, freaking go to Edmund's planet!
True.
And she's like, I think we should go to Edmund's because the research and the data that he sent looks pretty good. I think it's better than Man's. And McConaughey's like, no, you want to go there because you have feelings for him. And she's like, I do. But I feel like love is telling me that I should go there, that we should go there.
And I think that's
and that turns out she was right.
Totally right.
She was right.
Completely right.
Because it comes back around to Coop and Murph, where it's like that love can transcend time and space.
Yeah.
And if they had followed her instinct then, they would have went to the right planet.
That's what I was saying is like, in the water world, that instinct of like going and getting this thing because you feel like it's important almost gets them killed. But then in the next scene, her instinct of, I feel like this is the right thing to do, is ignored. And they go down to Man's planet and Bill Romilly's killed. Matthew McConaughey's almost killed. And they have to basically abort the whole mission because of all the things that happened.
Dude, do you remember your first experience of seeing this where they go and get this guy and then when he rips up, he just betrays him. When he rips off his radio, throws it.
I was genuinely like, what is he doing with that radio? He chucks it. I'm like, does he have to go down there now? And then he starts and he pushes it. I'm like, what? And then, yeah, it was such a shock the first time I watched that.
Yeah, I was just like so taken off guard.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, you mother effer.
Yeah.
Freaking, he says it perfectly. You effing coward.
Yep.
Dude.
Sometimes movies have F words in them that I feel like they don't need to be there.
Yeah.
This one felt so.
This is very earned and very
when he's like walking away and he gets into the ship and he's flying away, the whole time I'm thinking, you coward.
Yeah, you piece of crap.
Dude. Yeah, like I'm like, oh, this guy.
This guy sent out his distress signal because he couldn't take that he was gonna die alone on that planet.
Effing coward.
Man, so crazy. Just that fight, dude, and like they're struggling and finally Coop pins him, but then he starts banging his helmet against Coop's helmet. He's like, dude, you could kill yourself, stop, and he just keeps doing it, and Coop's helmet breaks. You're like, shoot. And the way it's shot, I noticed this time too, and the music and it cutting back and forth to the other people at the space camp, like how McConaughey's far away and it looks like he's dying. Like it really like almost is leading you to believe the way it's shot and like the storytelling with it that Coop's gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
Like man's big in the frame, he's walking away, Coop's in the background dying. That's kind of how it's framed a lot for that shot, for that scene. And even though I'd seen it and I know he doesn't die, I think the first time it's like, holy crap, like this movie just flipped. Like there is movies that have huge twists like that. I mean, No Country for Old Men, right?
I was about to say.
If a protagonist just dies and you're like, holy crap. So I mean the movie could have took that twist and it could have all, turned and been like the girls movie where she has to survive some psycho who lied and killed Coop and has to deal with all that mess. But
the crazy thing is that it's not even over after that fight. She comes and saves him because he's able to find the thing magically. Clips it back on and says, I need help, right?
Yeah.
She goes and picks him up, but by then he's already the robot's exploded, so because he doesn't want any of the data to get out that there's no
freaking liar.
There's no goodie, so he rigged the thing to explode, which is insane.
Yeah, very insane.
So he blows up Romilly, he steals the ship, and he goes back up to the Endurance. That scene where he's approaching the Endurance and they're yelling at him, do not latch, do not latch, do not latch. And he just turns it off.
Oh, man. So intense. Dude. But then, like, Coop's like, can he use the automated, like, docking system? And Tar's is like, no, I disabled automated. He's like, oh, you're not a very trusting guy, not as trusting as you are, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, let's go,
Dude, Tar saves the day so many times. And then when they finally do, like, he goes there and he just ignores everything. And the whole time you're just like, man, I want this guy to fetching die. I hate man by the end of it. You hate him. He ignores everything. He does an imperfect seal. He ignores that, opens up all the hatches, and he's like, there's a moment when a man needs to
just die. He just gets blown out to space. Dude. Well-deserved death.
Yeah, but he like thinks that he's saving the world and he thinks that he's like the hero or whatever.
He's like justifying his cowardness by saying like, I'm going to go plant these eggs and save the human race.
Yeah, and then he just kills himself because he's selfish.
Right. But yeah, it almost like you're not sure if it's going to work or not, and it's very intense. And then, man, it just goes into more intensity because, shoot, now our space station's flying away. We got to catch up with it. We got to dock it. And the robots are like, you can't. It's impossible. It's like, no, it's necessary. Such a good line, dude. And he freaking does it, dude. He doesn't black out. He spins with the space.
He doesn't even. He doesn't take.
Docks.
He doesn't say, "What am I gonna do?" Same thing with Indiana Jones. It's the exact same like masculine ability to just do things and do them well. Yeah. He's like, analyze how many rotations per minute it is. 67. Okay,
we gotta match that.
Gets right up. Oh man, and the music there is so good. Dude, so No good. Time for Caution is the song I have downloaded on my phone, on my Spotify. Every time it turns on, I listen to it. It's so good.
Let's go. Dude, that's awesome.
Dun, dun, dun. Oh man. So good.
Dude, and then like, you're just like pumping for him because he does that. You're like, all right, you gotta, in my head, I'm like, you gotta get to that other ship, dude, because this thing's going down. It might get sucked into the Earth's, or not the Earth, but that planet's atmosphere.
Yeah.
And so, but he uses the ship to kind of power it out, but then it's going towards a black hole. I'm like, frick, get to the ship and get off. But he has a plan. He has a plan that I didn't quite understand and the girl didn't understand. 90% honesty. because he makes it so she can survive, and him and Tars are going through the black hole. And Tars was already going there. Like he talked about it with what's his name, the Doctor Romel.
Ramily.
Ramily. Yeah, Romilly. Tars needs to go through there and he can collect data and send it back. So he was already a goner, but we didn't know, and she didn't know, that Coop was also going to take his ship, the dead weight, once its fuel is up, and go through the black hole like a man.
Yep. And the idea there, I think, was that too much weight would have obviously, toned it down. But then there's the aspect of there wasn't enough supplies for both of them. And so he was, because that's what she says, is she's like, well, we have enough for both of us. And he's like, I lied about that. I think the idea too is like he wants it to be successful, and if he's there, he'll consume too much.
Right. He's sacrificing, laying down his life so that she can go complete her mission.
Yeah. And I think they've already used the cryo sleep thingy. I don't know if it's like a single time use or not. But because I was thinking, like, one of the holes I was trying to poke into, it was like, well, maybe there was enough resources and they could have split it and he could have just gone into cryo sleep or whatever. But I think that the idea is that he wants to go into the black hole so that he can actually relay the quantum data that that Tars has. Because he doesn't quite know like how it works, but he's like, yeah, I got to get this data out somehow, and then he does through the gravity into the watch.
Yeah, which is very necessary for the story, but I don't think he knows that going in. I think he's just sacrificing. I don't.
Is there a logical scenario where he doesn't have to kill himself, sacrifice himself in that scenario?
What are you asking?
Does he have to drop off with the ship that he's in? Could he have put it on autopilot or whatever, and then got on to the other ship and just had the ship drop instead of himself?
I know he says about, I think, Tars' little landing craft ship, that one has to be done manually, so that's why Tars has to like be sacrificed. Even though Tars was already going to be sent in there anyway. So Tars was like, yeah, I can do it. I can pilot it. I can detach. And so I don't know if his ship also had to be manually detached or not. But I think the idea is, like you mentioned already, there just wasn't the supplies and things to be able to.
Yeah, and I can look past that.
I don't know.
We can just say that it was a supply thing, and
yeah, whatever the need for it, like he obviously felt like there was no way they both could survive. At least that's how I took the story.
I did too.
He sacrificed himself.
I feel like that's maybe one moment in the movie that I thought was like maybe they could have done a little bit more exposition to why he has to go.
I feel like it fits his character and his story too, because he's the explorer, right? No one's ever been inside a black hole. If anyone's gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. I may die. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going through.
As he's going, too, he's, like, talking to the computer as if it's, like, recording for, like, a research thing. He's like, I see black, I see this, I see this.
Trying to collect any data.
Yeah. So maybe it is just, like, him wanting to... He thinks, oh, we're screwed anyways. Might as well go in here.
Right.
Or could be a supply... He mentions the supplies. Yeah, this is where the movie gets...
trippy.
Crazy.
My understanding is once he gets in there and he figures out he can see only into his daughter's room and he can communicate with her, and he's the one that's been communicating with her. He's the ghost, and he left the binary sand message, which at the time you're like, no, don't send that because that's what got you into this mess and you left. So why would you send it? Well, he doesn't do that yet. He does the book stuff. And then once he starts to realize, then he sends the message because he's like, no, I need to do this because I need to come out here so I can then send this message, this info back from the black hole, so my daughter can figure out how to manipulate gravity on Earth to take the human race off of Earth and travel to another planet. Because there's no way to launch all of human race with just rocket fuel and rockets.
Yeah.
Or at least a substantial amount of human race. Yeah, that's wild. And I took away also that there's not some mystical fourth or fifth dimension beings that did all this. It's just humans that have evolved to some point, have helped us now, and now I'm helping the past as well. Is that what you took from her, or is there something else?
Basically, he kind of says, well, Tars says, why did they bring us here? And he said, they didn't, we brought ourselves.
Right.
So he almost insinuates that the Tesseract and all the moments that are created was actually made by them somehow. And in the black hole, I don't know.
Yeah, because he says that line where, like I was saying, where Tars is like, that's not possible. And he's like, yeah, it's not possible for humans now, but in the future, Like, look at the information we have now from the black hole that I'm sending back. It's going to help people to be able to leave Earth. Once we learn even more, those people in the future are able to help us now.
Which is such a crazy idea.
And my connection of love to my daughter, which Dr. Brand brought up, this idea of love transcends all things. Even if you can't physically be by someone, like I'm able to connect with her through this bedroom. And he communicates, the info needed for her to be able to.
Whenever I watch this movie, when it gets to that scene, I start to have like a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Because I think it's not super well explained who the beings are. But I think it is just assumed that it's like, this is just the same humans, but later on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's future humans.
Yeah.
That have evolved and learned more about the fifth dimension.
Yeah. So they're able to communicate this thing through a bookshelf in the past. So one dimension is like nothing, right? Just a flat surface. Yeah, just a line.
Okay. There's only one direction length, no width or height.
Yeah, so it's just straight.
Okay.
2-dimension, you can go left, right.
Up and down.
Up and down. And then 3-dimension, you can go
left, right, up, down.
Forward, backward.
Yeah. And then diagonals.
And so that's what we live in, is the 3-dimensional world.
Physical world, yep.
Somehow the 4th dimension is time. And then in this movie, the 5th dimension is gravity. Because gravity can transcend time somehow. And inside the black hole, you can create this thing where you can use gravity to go into the past.
Right.
That's what it's saying, right?
I guess, yeah, basically.
And that's where the mind melt comes. And you're like, what? So that's where you just have to kind of turn your brain off and try not to understand all of it. Because it's just like a really cool idea. So.
Yeah. At that point for me, it's almost just like, okay, gravity can transcend space and time in 3D and 4D dimensions. Okay, that's enough. That's all I need, I guess.
Yeah.
I honestly, if I was gonna poke holes in this movie, it would be more of like they had to have a big A rocket ship to get off of Earth to get their spaceships into space. But then on these other planets, they're just using the ships to get on and off the planet. It's like, how are you doing that? How are you taking your cool looking spacecraft like it's Star Wars, just taking off from a planet and going into space and breaking the atmosphere? But on Earth, you had to use, and not to mention the first planet had 130% of Earth's gravity, so even more gravity to overcome.
That's a good point, actually.
So we kind of just have to ignore that.
That's a good point.
Movie. But I don't give it any beef, because it would be too complicated if every planet they went to, they had to take off on a rocket ship.
Yeah.
And like, how would you get the fuel? And I don't know. Maybe there could be something written into overcome that.
I would love to have a second movie made about this that like explores kind of more the travel from Earth to this new planet and like the adventures they have there.
Colonizing.
Yeah, because that sounds really cool. But also there's the weird aspect where he gets onto this ship and it never really explains how the ship was made. It just says that she solved gravity. And I'm glad they don't include it, because that would mean...
Well, they were building it the whole time.
Right. But she solves the gravity problem. What does that mean?
It means that huge mass, that huge space station they're building, that they're working in and launching his ship from initially from Earth, and that they do all the research in, there's no way to get it away from Earth's gravity. It's just too big. There's no way to launch it off of it. So you had to find a way to manipulate gravity in a way that you could just detach from Earth.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't understand that at all.
Yeah.
And I guess, and the movie doesn't explore that, which thank God, because it would make the movie way more complicated than it actually is. It's just kind of like, they do it. Cool. But I would like another movie that kind of explores that idea. Because now that I'm thinking about what is the 4th dimension, what is the 5th dimension, who are these beings, I want to know. I want to know who created the Tesseract, how they did it. I want to know how you can manipulate gravity to get a skyscraper off the ground,
right,
with a tube where people can be building and playing baseball and farming. You know,
yeah.
Like, talk to me more about that.
Well, I'm sure it's I mean, even if we got a satisfactory answer, it would still just be kind of made up. I'm sure where it's like,
Yeah, fair enough.
yeah, like we did this thing with this science and it made it so we could overcome gravity.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Zippity doo dah.
Like I,
And that's pretty much all she says is, I fixed it. You know, she throws the paper out, says Eureka, kisses the boy, and then it's like, she did it.
All right. Well, unless you have any other thoughts. Well, I love that after he reconnects with his daughter, touching moment, but like she knows, like, you need to go. Like, I've got kids. You don't need to be here. You need to go find Brand. I don't know how she knows. They've got some sort of connection, but you need to go find Brand. You need to go explore.
Yeah.
He's gone. Like I mean, theoretically, they're headed there, right? Because they're supposed to be going to a habitable planet with this huge space station. But I just like the idea of him, like, going off to be who he is, which is an explorer still.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta go traverse through time and space again, go see if I can find this girl, see if I can do what I do, which is...
Well, Murph is very okay with him being that way, too, because at the beginning of the movie, she's very mad that he is the way he is, and she's super resentful.
Yeah.
But then when she realizes that he was there the whole time and he was giving her all the information, she, like, forgives him.
Yeah.
And then I think she goes the rest of her life just loving the idea of who he was. And then so when he comes up, she's like, oh, I'm not used to you being, like, this way. Go out and be who you are.
Yeah, you're right. It's wild.
Which is I love the ending. It's so tender.
Very good.
When he walks in and she like reaches her arm out, it's like, oh, that's so cute.
And she's all old. You missed all that time.
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
And he's still like the same age basically because it's happened in like almost no
months,
time for him.
Weeks, days.
It is funny too because when he's sitting on the front porch of the house that they made, the replica, he's like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
I don't want to. We got to go on to something new.
Yeah.
And sure enough, his sister knows, his daughter knows, go out and get Brandon. He's like, all right, bet.
Yeah, I'll go jump in a ship.
And he freaking takes off with
freaking go.
He takes off with R2-D2 and just freaking
in his X-wing.
So
cool.
And he goes off and saves the day, and that's the last Interstellar movie that we have.
I really like that it shows like Brand on the planet, and she's got a base camp. It's got the American flag.
That's right.
Not a freaking United World flag, a freaking American
This
flag.
movie was clearly made in 2014, by the way, because Matthew McConaughey is very masculine. She is quite feminine, and there's no woke crap at all.
Yeah, and we plant not a global flag, an American flag.
Yeah. And the whole idea of being an explorer is like a positive thing.
Yeah,
like
that's American.
Yeah, and being like a man is a great thing, and him being capable, and also being like a great dad, and not being a dumb idiot dad who just doesn't know anything.
Right. Dude, such a cool ending. I loved it. I was just like after we got off from the movie, I was just like, that was just so freaking good.
Yep.
My mind's melted, but it was so good.
So good, man.
Dude, okay.
Great movie.
I know we've been talking a while, but let's hit these questions really quick.
Oh, yeah.
Whose story is it? What do they want? What do they ultimately need to do or become? Does the movie make us care? And if so, how?
Obviously, it's Einstein's story.
Yeah, your theory of Murph.
Mm-hmm. It's Cooper's story. He wants to explore.
Yeah.
He needs to explore.
He needs to freaking murder that mother effer.
He needs to kill man as soon as he sees him.
Yeah,
Not
Dr. Man.
Yeah. Open him from cryosleep and just choke him out.
My future self warned me.
Instead of stay, it's kill Matthew Damon. What does that mean?
Kill Dr. Man when you see
Yeah.
it. I don't know, dude. What does he need to do or become?
Mm.
I know, like, part of the beginning of the movie, I'm just going to throw this out here. Like, his his father-in-law is like, you need to, that teacher's single and you're single, so be nice to her. And I think there is something kind of brewing with him and the Dr. Brand.
Yeah.
Even though she has feelings for another man.
Who's dead. I don't feel like he...
Does it have to do with something where he needs to, because at the end, right, what happens is like, his daughter's like, you need to go explore, you need to go be you. Is that like, he wants to explore, but he kind of is always held back about like, I need to get back to my kids, I need to get back to my kids, I need to get back to my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And by the end, it's like, he's okay with letting go.
Yeah, that could be it. That he needs to... Well, it's interesting because I would never give that advice to a father.
Yeah,
You know?
need to let go.
Let go of your kids.
And
It's
go.
like, whoa, no, you need to take care of your kids. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like he doesn't super have an arc, to be honest. I feel like he's just awesome the entire time. And he just does exactly what he needs to do in every scenario.
Well, I mean, that could be debated, right? Because he leaves his family. Should he have left them?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was the right thing to do. And like the pitch they gave him obviously
also
was
a lie. Pitch was a lie.
it
It works out, but
it was a lie that he would save his family, but it's not a lie that he would be saving humanity.
yeah.
And if he didn't
The
go,
chance to save
humanity
humanity.
would have been destroyed.
Yeah. Also, how do they still have crops in space if crops were dying on Earth?
Don't worry about it. All right.
If they're dying on Earth, then they're dying in space too.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, if they have the technology to
I
make
guess-
a freaking spaceship have corn, why don't they do that to Earth? We're not thinking
Let's
about
just stay. Let's just stay on Earth.
That's why he wrote Stay.
That's the real reason. No, you idiots.
You just figured out how to manipulate gravity to grow okra again. Grow it.
Grow some broccoli.
Yeah. I don't know the answer. I don't know what he needs. I think he doesn't actually expect to survive the black hole moment too.
Mhm.
It's just like I think that he could have. I think maybe that was his arc where it's like, I'm going to sacrifice myself even though I don't want to, for the cause, for my family, for the future.
Right. He doesn't even like Plan B, but he ends up saying like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm never going to see anyone again. At least I can do is make this happen.
I think that might be it.
Mm.
Ratings. What would you give it?
Hold on. Does the movie make you care?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I think we've hit on that plenty of why it makes
100%.
us care, the relationships and storytelling, and you really want him to be an explorer, and you want him to be with his freaking family too, really bad. All right, Legend or Letdown, Jan?
Legend. You kidding me?
I'm gonna say Legend.
Absolute legend.
Absolute legend. Great movie. Well, what is your score for this movie?
9.5.
9.5.
This movie is almost perfect. I think it's been my favorite movie that we've watched.
This movie is pretty awesome. Pretty, near a perfect movie, I would say. I don't really have anything that I can think of that really takes away from it whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
I think it earns its running time. Acting's great. Storytelling, the camera's great. Great premise. Left me wanting more.
Mm-hmm.
The unanswered ambiguousness is, I feel like, a common trait of Nolan movies.
Yeah.
Like, you just enough information to keep you satisfied, but still wondering about how things work.
Yeah.
Oh man, how do I rate this movie? Freaking A! Is it better than Star Wars?
Absolutely. Are you kidding?
What? Absolutely. I don't think that's an easy thing to say.
To me, it is. It's clearly better than Star Wars.
Well, yeah, that's your opinion. Lest we forget, Star Wars is on AFI's top 100 movies. I'm not the one winning. I'm not one winning over here,
This
buddy.
is definitely better than Star Wars. I still gave Star Wars an 8.5 though, which it totally deserves.
I give Star Wars a 9, and I think it deserves that for sure. I think it probably even 9.5, to be honest. Oh man, I am floating between like a 9 and a 10, and I don't know where to land on it.
9.5.
True.
That's what I said.
I think it deserves it.
I don't think it's a perfect movie, but I can't give it a 9. I
mean,
gave Nacho
but
Libre a 9.
What movie do you know of that you would even give a 10, a 5-star movie though? Do you know if any movie you would give?
No. Because every movie has a few problems.
Yeah, I think I have to land 9.5 on this. It's so freaking
Let's go,
good.
dude.
It's such a good movie.
It's our best rating for both of us.
Yeah, that's the highest rating we have. Up until that, it was going to be Star Wars with an 8.75
Yep.
combined score. This one will be a 9.5 combined score. Well, fans, thank you for joining for the Real Legends podcast. We've had a blast talking Interstellar. I hope you have too. Such a good movie. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Please check us out on YouTube at Real Legends Movie Podcast, Instagram, real.legends.pod. We're looking forward to these next movies we're watching this month in July 2025. We're going to be watching Napoleon Dynamite next week, followed by Empire Strikes Back. And then, Dan?
I'm walking here.
Yeah. Wrong movie, but The Godfather.
Doesn't he say that in that
I
movie?
think that's in Taxi Driver or
Oh,
some
no.
other movie, but
Something with a mafia.
yeah. Ice him.
I love that we've been watching good movies recently. My
Oh,
goodness.
no.
Nacho
It's been a
Libre,
blast.
Star Wars, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Interstellar. Like,
It's been
finally,
so
because
fun.
we had a moment where we watched The Aviator, No Country for Old Men, and Mission Impossible, and it was like, whew, that was rough.
You're right, dude. I've had a lot of fun on a lot of these movies, but we had a kind of a dry spell there.
Yeah.
Where we tried to go visit a movie that was, had a sequel, and then
I love
tried to visit a movie that was a famous director.
I love that The Aviator, we gave a 4.5 together. That is so deserved.
Absolutely.
Such a trash heap.
Yeah. That wraps us up for Interstellar. We'll see you at the concession stand.
Catch you on the flippity flop.
Dude, I'm excited to watch Napoleon Dynamite.
It's gonna be very different from the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Star Wars, Raiders of the Lost
Very
Ark, and
different.
Interstellar.
I think it'd be a good change though. Have some
I agree.
lighthearted comedy, and then we'll get back into Star Wars.
I want to know
baby.
what I'm gonna rate it. Get out of my house and stop eating on my steak.